Kellen Knox stood behind his black SUV, the cool morning air brushing against his face as he zipped up a faded delivery jacket. The stitched name tag on his chest bore a name that wasn't his, and the tiny mic tucked discreetly beneath the collar picked up the faint hum of traffic. A thick, scruffy beard covered his jaw. New, just like the close-cropped buzz cut, the square-framed glasses, and the slight weight he'd intentionally put on around his midsection. Everything about him was designed to erase the man in the corporate headshot. It had been 4 years since he inherited his late uncle's rapidly growing chain of 5 takeout kitchens. He'd expanded operations, refined the systems, and watched profits climb. On paper, it looked flawless, except for one glaring blemish. Store number 3. The numbers were dropping fast: customer complaints, late deliveries, cold food, and unsettling reports from staff. The district manager waved it off, blaming the inexperience of a constantly changing crew. "They're young, overworked, undertrained. They'll adapt," he had said. But Kellen's instincts told a different story. He'd never met most of the current team. The last time he stepped foot in that kitchen was 2 years ago. The location setup made it easy for problems to hide. No dining area, no direct customer contact. The kitchen was an island where anything could be masked behind closed doors. If something was rotting, it was happening out of sight. That was why Kellen was here, not as the CEO, but as a nobody. A temperature, just another pair of hands to fold boxes and bag meals. 3 days on the line would tell him more than any report ever could. The kitchen hit him with a wall of smells: sharp onions, stale fryer oil, and something sour clinging stubbornly in the vents. The air was hot and heavy, thick with steam and grease. Orders flashed and beeped across the overhead screen. The staff moved quickly, but not with rhythm, like a band playing a song they'd never practiced together. Beneath the noise, there was disorder. "Yo, Mike!" a voice cut through. Kellen looked up. A short woman with bleach blonde hair and deep shadows under her eyes motioned him over. "I'm Raina, kitchen lead. You're shadowing me this week. You ever pack orders before?" He nodded, feigning the quiet hesitance of the rookie he was pretending to be. "Cool. Don't overthink it. Sauce goes in the bottom so it doesn't spill. Double-check the labels. If it's wrong, I hear about it, not you." She didn't smile. Her voice carried the weight of someone running on fumes. For hours, Kellen moved in sync with the rush, wrapping, taping, bagging. Raina barked instructions. A few followed them. Others didn't. One skinny kid, maybe 20, leaned against the walk-in fridge, scrolling through his phone. "Illy!" Raina's voice cracked like a whip. "Do I need to tape your fingers to a spatula?" He rolled his eyes, tossing the phone.
On the systematic exploitation of female sexuality. According to administrative records from the Imperial Treasury, maintaining Emperor Qianlong's harem cost more than the entire annual military budget, requiring a complex network of slave traders, sexual trainers, and administrative officials whose sole job was facilitating imperial sexual gratification. The economic records of the Qing dynasty reveal that the empire maintained what were essentially sexual slave markets in every major city. These markets operated under imperial license, with standardized pricing for different categories of women based on age, virginity status, and specialized sexual skills. Young virgins commanded the highest prices, but the market also included categories that would be unimaginable today. Women trained specifically to endure particular forms of abuse, girls bred for specific physical characteristics, and even pregnant women, valued for the emperors. Twisted fascination with violating expectant mothers. Emperor Qianlong's personal sexual budget. Documented in surviving treasury records included line items for virgin acquisition, concubine modification, and disposal services. Euphemistic terms that masked a systematic economy of human trafficking and sexual slavery. The modification services were particularly disturbing, involving surgical procedures designed to enhance the emperor's pleasure, while increasing the women's suffering performed by imperial physicians who had developed expertise in what they called aesthetic sexual surgery. The scale of this operation was staggering. Court records indicate that Emperor Qianlong's harem consumed over 3,000 women annually, not through natural death or retirement, but through what administrative documents euphemistically called turnover. Most concubines survived less than 2 years in the imperial harem, dying from complications related to sexual abuse, suicide, or execution for minor infractions.
Yeah, Kellen answered, still playing his part. First day, I'm Riva. They don't train you here, just throw you in and hope you swim. You don't seem like you like it here much. Riva shrugged, her eyes on the cracked pavement. I stay for my brother. He's got medical bills. I take shifts when others call out. Guess I'm used to cleaning up other people's messes. Kellen studied her. Really studied her. She couldn't have been more than 19, with faint burn marks on her wrist from the fryer. Tired eyes, but still showing up. That was when it hit him. Raina wasn't just bending rules to keep the kitchen running. She was propping up a system that was grinding down people like Riva, using their desperation as free labor until they broke. He stood, offering her a small nod. Thanks for talking. Yeah, good luck, Mike. That night, Kellen made a decision. Tomorrow, he would walk back into that kitchen as the man who actually owned it, not the timid trainee they thought they could fool. The next morning, just after 8, he stepped inside wearing the same jacket, the same name tag, but carrying a very different intention. The pre-rush kitchen was quieter, bathed in the sterile glow of buzzing fluorescent lights. Stainless steel counters gleamed under the hum, but the silence felt thin, temporary. Riva stood alone at the sink, scrubbing a sauce container until the plastic turned opaque from wear. She didn't look up. You're early, she said. Raina won't be here until closer to 9. I wouldn't bother clocking in. She'll just make you wait. I don't mind waiting, Kellen replied, setting his bag down. Better than sitting in traffic. She glanced at him. You actually want to be here? I want to learn the job. She didn't answer, just kept scrubbing. Minutes passed before another worker arrived. A tall man with a limp in his left leg, his face set in a permanent scowl. Raina texted, he muttered, tossing a stack of paper towels onto the counter. Running behind again. That's the 3rd time this week, Riva said, drying her hands. Yeah, she'll blame traffic, or corporate, or ghosts. Doesn't matter. She'll still yell at everyone when she finally gets here. Kellen stayed quiet, watching them move. The limp wasn't for show. Every step looked like a calculated effort. But Jared kept going, pulling bins from the walk-in and checking dates. Riva joined him without being asked. They worked in sync, wordless. It took 15 more minutes before 2 others arrived. Tammy, barely 16, kept her head low, saying nothing. Lewis wore headphones until Riva told him to take them off before Raina saw. By 9:15, Raina was still absent. Kellen stepped into the walk-in to help Jared. The cold air slapped against his face, clearing the smell of fryer oil for a moment. But the shelves told their own quiet horror story. Labels scratched out and rewritten, some missing entirely. A tub of raw chicken sat beside an open bag of shredded cheese, cross-contamination waiting to happen. Jared caught him hesitating. You get used to it, he said, voice low. Doesn't seem safe. It's not, but say something and you're off the schedule. Happened before. Kellen's pulse quickened. They stepped out of the fridge just as Raina arrived at 9:28, sunglasses still on, to-go coffee in hand. All right, let's go. Lunch rush is in less than 2 hours, and I don't want any of yesterday's screw-ups. She didn't greet anyone, just launched into orders. Lewis, check the fryer oil. If it's too dark, swap it. Jared, you're on onions. No slow-motion crap today. Jared said nothing, limping back to the cutting board. Raina finally looked at Kellen. You again? Still here? Yeah, he said evenly. Thought I'd stick it out. Fine, Mike. Today you're on salads and sides. Keep it tight. No sloppy lids. Raina's voice was flat, almost dismissive. If you mess up, I'm not fixing it for you. Kellen simply nodded. Got it. She leaned in, her tone dropping low enough for only him to hear. And if you see anything that looks sketchy, don't ask questions. We run lean here. We use what we've got. His expression didn't change. Understood. By late morning, the kitchen was a storm. Orders came in like a tidal wave, the printer spitting out tickets faster than anyone could tear them off. Kellen worked the salads and side station, his hands moving automatically while his eyes cataloged everything. The ingredients, the shortcuts, the quiet corners where questionable produce was shuffled away from view. At one point, Tammy appeared with a container of sliced tomatoes. They sagged in their own juice, the smell already edging toward sour. These look off, she said softly. Before Kellen could respond, Raina's voice cut in sharp. They're fine. Rinse them and use the firm ones on top. Tammy hesitated. But they smell. I said they're fine. Kellen stepped closer. Can I see them? Raina turned, her eyes narrowing. What, you a produce expert now, Mike? No, he said evenly. Just think if someone's worried about it, maybe it's worth checking. Her stare hardened before she popped the lid and shoved the container toward his face. See? Still red, still edible. You got a problem? Tammy shrank back. Use them, Raina ordered. And next time you question me in front of everyone, you're out. Kellen's jaw tightened as Tammy returned to her station, her hands trembling while she reached for bread. The orders didn't stop. No one got a break. Jared's limp became more pronounced, each step a muted grimace. Riva burned her finger pulling a tray from the oven and didn't even flinch, just kept working, as if pain was part of the job description. By mid-afternoon, Kellen slipped into the back hallway, leaning against the wall and trying to slow the churn in his chest. Jared appeared with a mop, giving a dry laugh. You picked the wrong store if you're looking for air. Why do you stay? Kellen asked. 6 rejections last month. Nobody hires a guy who limps. Raina doesn't care as long as I keep moving, even if it hurts. Hurts either way. Kellen studied the floor. They ever talk about fixing things? More staff, better systems? Jared shook his head. We had a good manager before. Dev walked out after catching Raina changing time cards. She was shaving hours to save on labor costs. Happened to Riva, too. Kellen's head came up. Did anyone report it? To who? Jared snorted. District's a ghost. HR's just a voicemail. Raina's got seniority, knows how to make people disappear. By the end of the shift, Tammy was gone. No goodbye, no explanation, just off the schedule. Riva frowned at the printout. She asked for Saturday off. Maybe Raina didn't like that. Maybe, Kellen said, his voice unreadable. When the cleanup began, Kellen walked to the front, pulled out his phone, and made a call. Yeah, it's me. I need District and HR at Store 3 tomorrow morning. No delays. The next day, the disguise was gone. A simple black polo, jeans, no name tag. He parked in front and entered through the customer door. The kitchen buzzed with morning prep. Riva at the sink. Jared slicing peppers. Louis leaning against the counter with his headphones half on. None of them noticed him until he stepped fully into view. You can't be in here, Raina said sharply. Staff only. I am staff, Kellen replied, voice steady. Actually, I'm more than that. Riva froze. Jared straightened. Louis pulled his headphones off. My name's Kellen Knox. I own this company. The silence was heavy, thick enough to touch. Raina's jaw slackened. Kellen's gaze shifted to Riva. You've done nothing wrong. Stay where you are. Raina tried to recover. You should have let us know you were coming. That's protocol. I came as a trainee because no one could give me a straight answer about what was going on here. 2 days was enough to know I had to come back as myself. He didn't let her speak. Where's Tammy? Who? She worked 2 days ago. You pulled her off the schedule after she questioned the tomatoes. I told her not to come back, slowed us down. You fired her for saying the food smelled bad. She didn't follow instructions. We're short-staffed. Throw out every box that isn't perfect. We lose hundreds. I've seen your numbers. I've also seen you ignore food safety, threaten staff, silence complaints, falsify labels. That's not leadership. That's recklessness. You don't have proof. Kellen turned to Lewis. Are fryer oil filters changed on schedule? Numbers she makes us. Stretch it even if it smells burnt. To Jared. Ever told not to clock in until you're already working? Almost every time I open. And to Riva, his voice soft. Did you lose hours you worked? She hesitated, then nodded. Raina's face hardened. You're unbelievable. You're done, Kellen said. Off payroll, effective immediately. HR will be in touch. You'll be escorted out after this. You're making a mistake, she snapped. It already fell apart. You just built the mess around yourself. She stormed to the back, apron in hand. Kellen turned to the others. District and HR are on their way. Until then, take 10. You've earned it. Riva stared at him. You serious? Yes, I'll hold the line. Lewis blinked. You know how to pack. I packed 70 orders in the last 2 days. For the first time, someone laughed. When the corporate SUV arrived, Kellen didn't waste time. The district manager and HR rep stepped inside, trying to assert order. He shut that down fast. 4 months of complaints and missed reports should have been your audit. Instead, I found expired food, labor violations, and threats to staff. He walked them through everything. Photos of mislabeled containers, footage of altered time cards, statements from workers. Piece by piece, the truth came out. 30 minutes later, Raina was escorted out. She didn't look back. Kellen faced the crew. Things will change. It won't be easy, but you'll have better staffing, fair leadership, and the support you deserve. Riva, you're getting back pay for every stolen hour. The room was still quiet, but the weight had shifted. Less fear, more possibility. Kellen's voice carried a quiet certainty as he addressed the crew. Jared, same for you, and Tammy's hours will be covered until we can bring her back, if she's willing. Lewis lifted a hand. We don't have a manager anymore. Who's calling the shots? Kellen's eyes swept the room, then landed on Riva. You've been steady through all of this. You kept things moving when no one else could. I want you to step in as interim shift lead. You'll have my full support. You won't be on your own. Riva blinked, caught off guard. I've never run a shift before. You've already earned their respect, Kellen said, nodding toward Jared and Lewis. That's harder to teach than any skill in this kitchen. Both men gave small nods. Riva hesitated, then said quietly, All right, I'll try. That's all I'm asking. The district manager shifted uncomfortably. There's still the matter of inspections and supply issues. We'll start now, Kellen interrupted. We'll clean this kitchen together, inspect it ourselves, then put a real schedule in place. No more hiding. He rolled up his sleeves and grabbed a rag from the sink. For a moment, no one moved. Then Jared stepped forward, wiping down the prep counter. Riva headed for the walk-in cooler. Lewis turned on the sanitizer sink. The work was slow, deliberate, but united. Kellen scrubbed the inside of a sauce bin, watching the grime loosen under the cloth. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. And after everything, that was worth more than spotless stainless steel. A week later, Store 3 didn't look brand new, but it was no longer hiding behind falsified labels and locked doors. The floors were scrubbed daily. Prep bins were labeled correctly. The walk-in cooler was neatly organized, each shelf lined with clear expiration tags and an updated rotation log. A new digital thermometer, mounted at eye level, displayed its numbers in bold red. They were still understaffed, but the hiring process had begun. Until then, shifts were tight, and the pace still demanding. The difference was, no one was pushed by fear anymore. Kellen had visited 4 times that week, not undercover, not looming over anyone, but present. He asked questions, pitched in when needed, and stepped back when the crew had it under control. His job now wasn't to take over, it was to make sure the people who stayed were seen. Friday morning he arrived just after opening. The kitchen lights were on. Reva was bent over the new dry inventory sheet, clipboard in hand. She glanced up, gave a small nod. No surprise in her face anymore. "You're early," she said. "So are you," Lewis called from the grill line. "His cousin's in the hospital. I told him not to worry, but he still came." "You need someone to cover his station?" Kellen asked. "I'm fine. Jared's in at 11. I'll bridge the gap." Kellen leaned on the prep counter. "You keeping up all right?" "I'm managing." "That's not the same as doing well." "I didn't expect easy." "I know, just checking." She set the clipboard down. "The new temp, Avery, quiet but sharp. Picks up fast, doesn't cut corners." "Think she's worth keeping?" "I do. She's not afraid to ask questions. That's a good sign." Kellen nodded. "Heard from Tammy?" Reva hesitated. "Texted me yesterday. Said she's thinking about it. She'll come back when she's ready." "I hope she does." The door buzzed and Jared walked in, balancing a thermos in one hand and a worn canvas bag over his shoulder. "You get that knee looked at?" Kellen asked. "Torn ligament, brace, and physical therapy. You'll get the time off you need." "Not yet. Didn't want to leave Reva stranded." "You won't be. Temporary backfill starts Monday. You'll get your full hours while you're in therapy." Jared blinked. "You serious?" "I'm not letting someone wreck their health to hold a schedule together." Reva spoke up. "I can train the backfill if you want." "Monday," Kellen confirmed. By noon, the kitchen found its rhythm. Orders came steadily. Avery packed, each one with quiet precision. Reva balanced tickets with calm authority. Jared kept the grill line moving without rushing. It wasn't flawless, but it was a team. That afternoon, the HR rep returned with a slim folder and 2 sealed envelopes. "Revised payroll," she said, handing one to Kellen. "Back pay for Reva and Jared. Corrected hours from the last 60 days. And this one's for Tammy. Written apology. Offer to reinstate at full wage, review in 30 days. "Good," Kellen said. "We also audited the other locations. Most are clean, but Store 2 has inconsistencies. Flag 'em. I'll follow up myself." Kellen walked back into the kitchen. Reva was wiping down the sandwich station. He handed her both envelopes. "One's yours, the other's for Tammy. Deliver it." "You sure? She trusts you more than me right now. I'll go after shift. Take the rest of the day if you want. Jared can close." "I told you, I'm managing." "I want you leading, not burning out." She smirked. "You sound like someone who's done both." "I have. That's how I know the difference." That evening, the dinner rush faded. Kellen stepped into the back alley. The sunset glowed behind the strip mall, and music drifted from the kitchen, low but present. Not silence, not fear. The district manager had stopped by earlier without his clipboard, just to listen, observe, and lend a hand. Kellen told him he could stay if he was willing to get his hands dirty. 20 minutes later, the man was scrubbing the sauce station without complaint. A delivery truck pulled in. Fresh produce, clean labels, verified suppliers. Kellen helped carry in a crate, passing it to Avery, who set it on the counter without a word. Before leaving, he found Jared at the sink. "You're covered Monday. Therapy hours approved?" "Thanks," Jared said quietly. At the front, Reva sealed the last order and handed it to a driver. "Leaving for now? You coming back?" "Not undercover," Kellen said. She smiled. Not relief, not surprise, but assurance. "I'll hold the line." "I know you will." The door clicked shut behind him. The company wasn't fixed, not yet. But now there were eyes where it mattered, voices that wouldn't stay silent. He'd gone in looking for problems. What he found was people, and he wasn't going to forget that.